Okay, there we go. So, as the city was collapsing, we had a bunch of people preparing to essentially evacuation plans. So, who was doing what? Let's reiterate. Demi.
I was on the front line trying to rescue and save as many neonates and prob veterans and try to get them back to the defense line, which Bacon made.
Uh-huh. So,
Where was
you
the
would have
defense
been
line again?
actually outside the city in neighboring cities, most likely organizing the retreat from there.
Real quick, where did Bacon say his defense line was at the Chantry?
No, not yet. This is a couple years before the city finally fell. When it
Okay.
became apparent that it probably would fall. And people started
Yeah.
freaking.
The defensive line would be probably close to the city or on the nearby cities.
It doesn't matter. I'm assuming that you essentially run a military campaign, retreating, counterattacking whenever possible. Just, that would be covered by the role, most likely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's you. What were you doing, Jacklord? Did you ever say?
I think he said he was in his chantry.
Oh yes,
was-
you were making supplies, making it as secure as possible. That's right.
Yeah. Essentially.
And you were coming over to patch up the rapidly deteriorating morale epic, I think.
Yes. And I already did that.
Well, that was the first time we're talking about right before the city finally fell.
I think I had left after that
Yes.
to
And
go
now
solve
you're...
some other issues. But
Yeah.
I might have come back once things started deteriorating, yeah.
Yeah, like, when you come back, essentially it's... The city is... When you left, stability or morale or whatever you want to call it, let's use organization and morale. Organization would have been a 6 or 7, morale would have been at 8.5 or so. Now, organization is at like a 4 and morale's at a 3. So, just above the threshold where people start making, okay, we need to get the fuck out right now kind of plans.
Okay. She would probably come back and try and increase morale. Particularly by, proclaiming things like, we are vampires, we don't actually need to stay here with such a big situation. We can come back later, don't risk your lives uselessly.
Well, Bacon
You're
is trying
saying
to
we
hold the
retreat.
city, you are sabotaging them. Encouraging them to leave Demi behind enemy lines is what I heard.
Well, no, I'm not encouraging them to leave anybody. I'm trying to increase morale particularly. To basically
That's
do
not
a
increasing
fighting
morale.
Yeah,
How
I
is
mean,
that not increasing morale?
well, you are arguing for people for the position of retreating, which is well and good, it makes sense, but it also gives people an excuse to, well, stop fighting. Which is dangerous, because it can create a panic if you do it badly, is the problem. If you do it well,
Yeah.
you're gonna be good.
I'm trying to encourage them to definitely try and, fight, but it's so that they can get away, not so that they can continue staying here. Because the situation is obviously really bad, right?
Yeah.
They're not winning. So it's best to try and conserve ourselves as best we can and defend what we can. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not advocating a full-on fight like the others. I'm advocating a fighting retreat.
Yeah. Okay, so Demi.
Yeah.
Stamina plus fortitude plus brawl from you.
Okay.
From you, Bacon, wits and academics for tactics.
Mine's difficulty 6, right?
Yes. So's Bacon's.
Holy shit. Holy
We are
fucking shit.
fucked up.
Legend
Demi
or not.
this is why Demi is indisposable.
Yeah, but I don't think our strategist will be good at it. So
Real quick, what's your specialty?
oh my god.
Damn, son.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, what's Demi's specialty?
My specialty? No, it's for stamina. It's tough bones. No, it doesn't apply.
Yeah. Let's see. I think for you, Jackalor, I think it would be something like wits finance. Because it's about figuring out how to get things and how to organize supplies. Logistics, essentially, and that's the closest that you have
That's
on
one
your
of my
sheet.
shittiest rolls in the entire fucking sheet.
Sorry.
I have to dice in. But
I am assuming that you're using your other rolls to actually get things, so I'm taking that into
Yeah.
account. As long as you don't botch horribly.
God. Well, that explains the one reason, supplies or whatever.
You know, Epic. Let's see. What works here?
I'm
think
mostly trying to shore up morale specifically. Get people to have hope for the future, basically.
Mm-hmm. Like, we might be surrounded now, but we're gonna consolidate and then we're gonna fuck off. Cut our way free kind of thing, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, give me charisma leadership. Let's see, how do I want to do this? You do have a lot of merits for this. I will make the base +1. So, difficulty 5 roll.
Okay.
What was Jackalor doing?
Laying in supplies
And
in
I
the
have
chantry.
eloquent. So,
Yeah,
sweet. 5 successes then.
you know, the two of you, Halfdan and Alan, you think you could have held the city. If the Tremere hadn't spent the entire time not providing you with weapons, and if the Malkavian girl hadn't talked about retreat constantly. As is, you retreated in good order, and you managed to even talk the Tremere into letting you, the rearguard, use the chantry to get out, but they kind of, from your point of view, it would have looked like they fucked you, I think.
We lost on the high ground, basically. We are failures.
Essentially, yes, you had the high ground, and they convinced everyone to come off the high ground.
Motherfuckers.
Hey, according to everything I know, this place was going to lose. So,
I think we all did that, but then as like we went fighting retreat, it's like, you know, we actually might have done something.
So Demi and Bacon would have pulled the fucking Hannibal on
You
on
know,
the
it's
Romans
like
here.
Debbie emerges from the broken wreck of the vast. Where'd everyone go? Is that the retreat signal?
So yeah, essentially what was happening was Bacon and Demi were trying to pull a Hannibal and circle the enemy with a smaller force, but everyone just said retreat. Okay.
You know, you are on the backside and circling the fucker when the front line just goes like, lol, no.
hey, I prevented many deaths that day. It was great.
Arguable. Some who might have lived died. Some who surely would have died lived. That's about the most you can say.
No, I saved people that day. Nothing will
Sure.
stop me from thinking so.
From your point of view, yes, you saved people. From their point of view, you fucked everyone. Not as badly as the Tremere, mind you, because he laid in the minimum of supplies he thought he needed, but he was literally, that's the only thing he was doing. He wasn't providing any real magical backing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have done that if it looked like they were going to win. They didn't look like they were going to win.
with 10,
The reason to stay.
with 10 and 5 successes, you know, in theory, they might have eked out another couple of years.
That sounds like more death and destruction for everybody. Let's avoid that.
So, Jackalor. Then we have the final thing where the retreat is happening. A bunch of neonates have deserted from the front lines because clearly the city is gonna fall. Even the elders are speaking about it and have gone to try and escape or save their mortal relatives or the like. The front lines have been broken through in several places, and it looks like it's time to retreat.
Hey, I advocated fighting retreat. With my successes, you can't deny that, and the increase of difficulty.
Well, yes,
I mean-
but neonates are selfish cunts. As are all vampires. Yes, it sounded
exactly.
really good, but it's like, okay, that sounds really good. Everyone's gonna fight, and I have to save my sister. The Malt Girl would understand.
Yeah, she would, sadly.
Sadly, you cunt.
Anyway, so like, what's going on now? Other than them, the people are like starting to retreat now.
Well, the question is, how would this happen? Because this is, well, I'm handing it over to you. Essentially, like, at some point, there would be enough breaches in the line, due to the combined effect of those rolls, that people would start breaking through. And how would the actual fall proceed?
They'd probably start like the Sabbath would probably start destroying things left and right to try and scare anyone away and cause chaos, so that it would be hard to those with actual stuff embedded in the city would have a hard time getting that stuff out of there.
There would be at first, yes, until the front lines collapsed. At that point, it would be more focused teams going to targets they know about.
Oh, so you're insinuating they'd attack the chantry?
They wouldn't attack it first. They would hit the havens they know about that weren't heavily reinforced first. But they would establish some sort of perimeter around it, so when the final retreat happened, the others would probably need to fight their way through at least a couple of ghouls, you know?
Yeah, I'd probably try and get some people to go and at least try and like get some of the remaining guys that are retreating nearby to sit around near the chantry to clear the area out of any Sabbath that try to set up there.
Okay. So,
Mainly so that they have a clear line of retreat, even if it's into my chantry.
you would probably in the back, trying to essentially at this point probably organize the evacuation as best you can, Epic.
Yeah.
Yep, certainly.
And
Like the people who can't really fight anymore because
Yes,
of being
yes.
too much aggravated damage and stuff.
those who can't fight due to too much aggravated damage probably aren't gonna go out and check the area for Zabat on your say-so.
No, I would just send them away with some guards, essentially. But the rest
Yes,
would
okay.
try to have as many as possible. Try and keep the way to retreat open.
Okay, so Alan Percy would probably be trying to keep the front lines from completely collapsing, and Demi at some point would be trying to fight his way from what turned into from the front lines to the enemy territory far too quickly for him to make his way back. Just cut your way free.
Fair point.
So, let's see. What do you have? Demi.
Yeah.
I actually want a wit stealth roll from you, Demi. Because
Which stealth roll? Ooh.
you have an undeniable ability to wreck shit. But this determines how well you can lead out the few people that are still with you or that you manage to pick up out.
Okay, fair enough. Difficulty 6 or
6.
higher?
Just 6.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not gonna do good here.
Oh.
Okay. So 2 successes. Yeah, probably rescued like a Toreador and Ventru.
Wait, I guess fine.
I mean, the specifics don't matter. If you had really good success, I might have given you someone that was with you back then.
Mhm.
But, yeah, you
Fair
would have
enough.
been able to fight your way through, but it's a bloodbath. You're okay, but most of the people that were with you, or that went out on that last raid, never came back.
Yeah, fair enough.
Alan Percy. Let's take a look at your stuff and what you might have done here. Give me a charisma leadership, a base difficulty of 8 here. So try and keep people from panicking when panicking looks like the only way to survive.
I have a natural leader, so it's +2 leadership dice.
Yes, that would certainly apply.
And I also have noble and eloquent.
You know, you are certainly capable of setting a noble example as the tide advances, killing Sabat. So, sure, I'll let that apply as well.
Ha!
That was pretty bad.
You know, when Epic is organizing the retreat, you have a bloody neonate at one point rush into the Elysium. Yeah, just telling everyone something along the lines of the front lines are collapsing, flee for your lives. So, let's take a look at what you have. For you, I think it should be something like perception investigation. And we'll make that a difficulty 5 because you have a metric fuck ton of aspects to pick out any and all safe routes out. How does that sound?
That was me?
Yeah. Because I'm assuming you're
Hey.
essentially keeping people safe at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. What was the roll?
Perception investigation at 5. Yeah. Do you have a specialty for that as well?
Insightful. I'm not sure if it'll apply or not. It depends on what exactly you
Uh,
think is going on. So,
Not really, but with the abilities you have available through aspects, you're actually able to, like, the city is swiftly overrun and most of the property is lost, but the actual people, other than the ones that were fighting when the collapse happened, because those to a large extent did get fucked, you can get most of them out.
okay. Yay! I got most people out.
So eventually, I think it makes sense for Halfdan and Percy to make their way to the chantry. I don't know if Vivian would be there or if she would have left with the last of the civilians.
Lost of civilians.
Because, like, yeah, you would know that people might try to make it there if there was any still left, but it's up to you if you would have stayed behind to try and help those, or if you had
I'd
just
try and
left.
help as many as I could to get away.
So you're just herding a bunch of sheep out of the city at that point.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So that leaves us with Jackalor and see how well he did.
Yep.
you need to keep the area clear, so we are gonna actually call that, I think, a perception awareness roll for you.
And difficulty is due to O6.
We're gonna call it a base of 6.
So 3 or?
No, just a plain 6. I'm factoring the abilities you have into
Oh my fucking god.
You know, as you make your way towards the chantry, like 3 blocks out, the enemies just stop behind you and don't follow you anymore. You are able to make it inside and escape through there, with what few people remain with you. You probably actually arrive at different times and realize that the other is alive when you are, make it inside there. Alan and Halfdan. So, I think that more or less covers the interactions you've had with each other in the past until you actually got together to take the city.
Once again.
Motherfucker, that is our clay. We must reclaim New Orleans.
I've just been saying it here for the past 100 years, but it's fun that you finally listen.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be definitely a thing
You walk
where
through
it's
the
not
mirror,
quite- yeah.
and the Tremere is still there wearing what looks like the same fucking suit.
Bruh.
Okay, so
It's a good suit.
what else do we need to cover about your histories? I know Demi should speak a spirit animal.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, but I think the spirit animal that fits me the most, seeing as I'm tanky and whatnot, I feel like a bear.
A bear?
A bear.
Aren't you a puppy?
I was gonna go with something like a rabbit.
Why rabbit?
I'm gonna let someone else realize the connection and tell you.
Sorry, I'm not really listening, but listening at the same time.
Remember
Oh.
that Ventru, Demi?
Oh, yeah, now I know what rabbit. Yeah. That is a fair point. The fuck is that?
Okay, bear, sure.
Yep.
Let's look. Physical characteristics, mental characteristics. I feel like a mental thing would be better in this case for some reason, like a mannerism.
Whatever you feel like. Is this actually in the B20 book, or?
No, I'm Googling. Okay. Okay. Any idea bear characteristics that we could give Demi?
I'll let the players decide.
Let's see here. What would fit his character?
Behavior, let's see.
Passive
He's
aggressive.
always grumpy.
I like honey.
Fuck you, Demi. Okay. I don't want to know about that. I don't care about encountering them. Physical, behavioral, and psychological traits of gay men identify as okay, no. Let's not. Epic.
Yeah.
Characteristics of bears. What would fit Demi?
A bear's
Sure.
teeth.
Let's see. Characteristics of bears. I'm presuming we can't do behavioral patterns.
No, behavioral is what I would actually prefer in this case.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. They tend to be very territorial to a degree, but they are also very playful most of the time, except when they're not.
That sounds like a thing that could happen. I did choose a lot of domain, and I am kind of playful.
I like the idea of his playfulness being sort of a animalistic thing, like just roughhousing
Sure.
until they
Yeah.
piss him off. Like he's very physical about how he connects with people.
Yeah, there's a reason you can actually sometimes have people that go up and, oh, it's a bear. They'll even pet it and won't do anything, and then it claws their face off.
Oh hi, smack. And then you have a
Sometimes by
diplomatic
accident, sometimes
incident.
very much on purpose. So
Alan Percy gets a diplomatic insult CB on the Gangrel clan.
I think at a minor stream of relations, I think he does have the right to get that.
So yeah, he has a playfulness to him that is more animalistic than what you would expect.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a question though. Since we did the Malkavians and them calling me pupper, how do you call a bear?
What do you mean?
So you know how we did the +1 relationship, and then we just ended up on me being be called puppy by Malkavian. How do you call a bear now?
Teddy!
Teddy works.
Teddy.
I am a teddy bear.
Now, young Malkavian, if you want to play with Teddy, get some fortitude first, he claws. What? Something wrong with me? Did you die?
I'm dying of laughter.
And I think we needed to have a feeding restriction for Alan Percy.
You do.
We need.
Who do you eat on average? How do you dine?
He feasts on the flesh of his enemies. Wait, what?
You know,
They
I
must
actually
be an
have a-
enemy.
Okay, so first starter, I think one of the I'm not trying to decipher Bacon, but a good idea might be, since we see how he treats peasants, aka sort of low class people, you might want to be restricted maybe to high class people.
Or it could easily go the other way. It's not like attracted to high class people, but like a perversion thing, which I've done with some Ventru, that they're attracted to the very thing they oppose, so he has to feed on low lives.
Could do
Yeah,
soldiers.
So just
There's a lot
boring.
of things we can do. This isn't one of those things that has a particular limit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that he probably would be retracted from feeding from nobles. Stuff like that.
We could even go very, very specific. He can only feed every fortnight on any kind of person under the age of 21 that has an over $2,000 net worth.
It has to be reasonable, because then it goes into the extremely permissive or extremely restrictive feeding merits or flaws for Ventral. So it has to
It's
be
totally a thing. Yeah, it's just pointing out there's like anything we can think of is
like
applicable.
yes in theory, but semi-reasonable. For that reason, because otherwise it would count as a flaw. I mean, you can replace the repelled by crosses with like a feeding restriction, at least partially. I think. Actually, I'm gonna open the lore of clans. So I can see. Holy crap. So whenever Demi gets playful, he might just decide to wrestle someone.
Yes.
When he gets carried away, that's fucking amazing. Good thing he doesn't like you, eh, Jackalor?
Fucking hell.
Try not to
Let's-
break Vivian, please. Try not to break her.
Let's hope that he doesn't like Alan very much.
Uncommon Vitae preference is a 2-point flaw. Your preferred source of Vitae is rarefied even by the standards of your clan, such as only Korean war vets, or only federal court judges, or only virgins over the age of 40. Okay, so that's a 2-point flaw, and it's a brutal one.
Yep.
Honestly, I'd say that's a 3-point
Just-
flaw because
Just
that's
Bacon, what do you feel like represents anything about your character that you'd like to have as a feeding thing?
I think that both of the extremes are of he doesn't like to eat peasants, or he only eats from peasants, would fit better on him.
You get to choose. Do you eat the peasants, or do you despise the peasants?
I would say that the nobility, if you go specifically for nobility, is very difficult, because at this point the nobility thing has mostly gotten fucked. And keep in mind, you might have started with a restriction for nobility, and then after your torpor it might have shifted naturally. Just
Totally.
as part of having been asleep. So, it's not necessarily that you have to have the same one you started with.
I think it would fit that on before he was tortured for a long time. He was just only eating from other nobles, but after that and losing some humanity, he got to the point that peasants are basically cattle. They are useful for feeding us, and he just only eats from peasants.
Okay, so define peasants.
Low-class citizens.
Okay, so essentially the people that... we can go that you can only feed on like blue-collar workers or wage slaves or the like. People that are essentially trapped on the bottom rung of society. Without actually being bums and outside normal society.
Yeah.
So, everyone good with that? That sound okay? Reasonable? Acceptable?
Yep.
Okay, then write that in. Just... You can write it in as wage slaves.
Wage slaves. You require wage slaves.
It's okay, you can instantly make someone a wage slave by taking away their assets and lowering their pay to the bare minimum to survive, and then dominating them to not quit their job. Actually, no, it doesn't fit, because then they're not a slave because of the wage.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, you just trap them in the. You just forcibly trap them in the job without it.
But they have to be trapped by their wages, not by outside forces.
Yeah, you can do that. It's just you have to ruin them first a few times.
The problem is, if they have the skills and education to have a higher paying job, they're not gonna stay a wage slave.
I mean,
That's
I
what
mean-
you think. You underestimate the people's mental capacity,
And
or
yeah,
rather,
that-
overestimate.
I could just humiliate him or do something that is bad publicity, so he can never get a decent job.
Dude, there are... Actually, this is New Orleans. Once the industry completely collapses, you might be having a tough time finding actual non-touristy douchebags. But okay, wage slaves then. Is there anything else we need to cover on the histories part? I think we have mostly everything except Jackalor's Gargoyle, but we will handle that off screen.
Supposedly, that's something that we really don't care about. Up to you guys. Unless he sends it to attack us, then we'll care a lot.
I think we're done with this part then, which means that I should
Yay!
quit the video and we can move on to some sort of an actual intro. In theory.